one of my YouTube subscriptions had a community post regarding having a conversation about the black males involved in Tyre's murder. And I had made a comment, an eloquent comment, and it somehow disappeared. My money's on YouTube and their automatic algorithm, so to speak, micromanaging certain phrases, comments, things like that. I don't know so much if the content creator would do it, but either still was one of them, right? So my comment deleted, and my thoughts, I'm going to have to paraphrase because it was written so well. I'm mad because I went back to copy and share it on my wall and on Facebook, and it was magically gone within seconds. So some of that. So my advice is to compose your words or thoughts in a neutral space that you control, like word, text, email, something where no one can manipulate it, and then copy it and then paste it to whatever social media platform you want to share it on. In the event someone steals your thoughts or deletes it, and now you're stuck trying to piece together what you initially reacted to / responded to. Most of you have seen or heard about this situation, and I skimmed through some of the video footages, and what I saw was barbaric. So a lot of people, depending on what their what their talking points are, what motivates them to speak, is whatever plight they feel they need to fight. Now, some people are making this a race issue, and to me, like I said, so the people that care don't have the power to change anything. And the people who have the power to change things simply do not care. When you make things, so there's rednecks, capital RED, who unintentionally / intentionally benefited from systemic racism and public policy and generations of wealth. Then you've got, excuse me, created by real white people, the type of white people who have the power to control the stock market, determine public policy, and have the money, right? So if you don't got those things, you're not white. Then you've got the blue. Now, internally, that group has their own racial disparities that they may experience between one another. But when it comes down to me or you, they're blue before they're black. They're blue before they're brown. They're blue before they're white. So the micro conversation would be to point this, to put this on black bandits and degenerate behavior. And that's fine. But the macro conversation needs to be the theory of police itself and how it is executed. Because in theory, it's not a problem, right? Non-degenerate people want to feel safe, want to feel like there's some authoritative figure to keep them safe from this type of behavior. As far as the video is concerned regarding these individuals, I don't hear much about Memphis, but I hear it's, just not a very good place to live. It's a lot of riffraff and things of that nature. And while I recognize that a lot of it is their southern dialect or accent, these when they were speaking, if you close your eyes, it sounds like a group of males, black males, who are illiterate, ghetto, and as they were speaking, it just made me cringe. Like, ugh, I would just walk away from people who talk. Anyways, so I had three thoughts. One, this was personal, as in directly personal, meaning Tyre had an issue with one or more of the officers, and this was their get back. Personal indirectly, someone hired them or told them to do this to him. Or three, this is their I hate when something leaves my mind verbally when I'm thinking versus typing. Par for the course. And this is their Friday night behavior, or whatever night this event occurred, right? So if it's the latter, I then would question, okay, if this is their MO, I'm looking at the higher ups at this point, because someone, even if there was no quote unquote physical evidence, someone's complaining. I don't know anyone who would allow this to happen to them and them not unknowingly, right, undeservingly happen to them, and asterisk that, and they not complain, and this not be a pattern that was identified by the higher ups to have a look at this particular unit. So if it is the latter and Tyre was just randomly selected, then we need to have a deeper conversation about that. And then obviously let's just hypothetically say that this was a genuine traffic stop. All citizens should be concerned that this could happen to them, and the authority that you give the police officers for these type of situations. Now, from what I saw in the video, I don't know. He didn't seem aggressive to warrant that. And more importantly, we often, I again, I read through the comments, and it's just it reinforces to me why we are the divided states of America and why there is no such thing as unity, because you've got people really justifying this cowardly behavior. And just to play devil's advocate, even let's say that he was a monster, child molester, anything crazy, right? Well, the bandits in this video were less than smart if this was a retribution or retaliation. So I just want to the point where you have jumped on a person, it's 5 of you, you're tasering them, you're macing them. Police officers wear those steel-toe boots. You're kicking him in the head, walking back and running up to kick someone in the head. At that point, even in a street fight, you're a bitch. Okay? That is inhumane. It's barbaric. And I'm guaranteeing you, once they do the autopsy, I'm pretty sure those blows to the head are going to be what caused him to eventually shut down. Right? So to stand around, this what to me is, it just seems the level of violence they inflicted on him, it has to be personal. Because you don't hold someone up who's barely conscious while you and your colleagues take turns physically assaulting him. And conveniently, the um, conveniently, I don't, unless, or they didn't show, or I didn't see that part of the video. I didn't care to watch every second of it. They didn't have any up close body cams of the blows to the head and what was being said verbally during those strikes, but we saw it on the overhead camera. Whether these are black or white cops, my argument has always been to address things at the root issue, and the issue is not about blaming black women for these degenerate people or even them being black. Yes, those are variables in some instances, but this is a larger problem as far as we all are concerned when it comes to our interactions with the blue, i.e. the police. So to sit there and try to justify their behavior, even if, let's say, he was resisting and they had to chase him and whatever, you can try to, okay, he was captured, and from what I saw, the majority of the violence took place after he was in handcuffs and barely conscious, having to be held up. So as far as I'm concerned, any argument they have for the their so-called justification of force is thrown out the window. And if Memphis is as bad as they say it is, and these officers were charged before it even got to trial or or like a suspension, investigation, things like that. So it just seems as though they already know they messed up. So I don't know if something else has come out or will come out as to the why. But this was not some random, we're just a gang, we're going to beat him up because we can. It was too personal. It was too personal. And his behavior from the initial alleged swerving and whatever they said he was doing, just, it doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. But, and also I want to make this clear. It doesn't matter your socioeconomic status, your level of education, the title you hold on this planet. An apostrophe is always going to be an apostrophe. There's nothing to absolve that. They're going to be who they are. So to circumvent that, I believe that there has to be systemic change to these policies. But because they want us to focus on the micro conversations, we'll never get to the macro level of these issues because they have you. It's a conquer and divide type of thing. They want you to be disenfranchised so that they can continue to control, both subconsciously and consciously. So that is the bigger conversation that needs to be had here. And the fallout of this case will prove either of those points correctly. That it just seems, I'm more on the personal. I'm still 90% personal with these individuals and this Tyre individual. More of it being than it being a randomized, this is how we do on Fridays, because their responses demonstrated their low IQ, their low EQ, their lack of self-control, or for it to be this person made us run, so now we're mad, we're going to abuse our power. The call him a bitch and I'll break your, all this. When are y'all going to change how the police deal with you, because it shouldn't escalate to these levels of violence. And then I'm seeing, something else have come out about the Tyre person. I don't know. Someone commented that they were dusty and so they should be celebrating, and I'm like, okay, even if someone is, that's not the way to handle that. It's very cowardly, even if he was less than perfect or non-productive member of the society. I don't know his resume. They had a video of him speaking, but it didn't really go into too much detail. But even if he was, let's say he had bastard children or anything, I don't know. That wasn't the way to handle that. Period, point blank. As far as consequences go, judicial system also needs to be upgraded. Judges, prosecutors have too much power, and we the people, raise your hand if you may quote unquote vote for people, senators, congressmen, blah 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 blah. Did you give your vote to send tax money to Ukraine and all these other countries? But when it comes to giving money back to our own country, we can't seem to get those ratified or passed. Interesting, right? Yet you've got people sitting around debating and these long rants about public policy, this side versus that side, and why this side is. But it's all circular, and just if the powers that be wanted change, things will be changed. So in my opinion, this system is done. It's defunct. And the longer you keep trying to, I always say you can't get peace or justice or solutions rather from your oppressor. That just isn't how this works. It needs to all be burned to the ground and just started over and recreated at this point. There is no hope. So in regards to consequences, right? We the people should vote on the legalities of what people can choose from as far as what is quote unquote legal to give someone. But if I'm the victim or surviving families of the victim, we should determine what happens to you. Not a jury, not a judge, not a prosecutor. They should be mediators in bringing forth the case and proving its validity or not. And jury should be used in cases where there isn't someone surviving to kind of speak on behalf of the victim. But I believe that if his mother, father, siblings, whoever his immediate family is, in this instance, for this example, once they've been proven guilty, and clearly they are, right? The consequences shouldn't be up to you and I, or having them have the luxury of going to prison, having 3 meals a day, regardless of the quality of the food, having access to cable, having access to sex, having access to breathe. So really, where is they're confined, but it's just a smaller confinement than the one they're already in, only quote unquote in the free world. So what is their real consequence? Time. And if you decide that you want them to go to jail, and that's what your family wants, then fine. I'm a little different. I would want to tie them each up the same way they had him tied up and just take my time with them so they could feel how cowardly that shit was. I just, because I'm thinking, like, even if it's personal and I got a problem with this person, they're not smart. This was sad and dumb all the way around. Hopefully, we find out the real reason why he was selected. I just don't think this was random. Uh, and if they use their title and badges to get revenge for something personal, then they went about this all wrong. It was excessive, it was cowardly, and I just can't imagine what he did that he wasn't able to be tried or convicted of, that you randomly pull them over and line him up on the ground while you walk back several feet and run up to kick him with your steel toe boot in the head twice that we saw, or that I saw. I don't think people realize how violent that is. So again, y'all can. I just don't see the point in having these micro conversations. It doesn't get anywhere. And it doesn't change the harsh realities that we are all finding ourselves in as far as the system is concerned. Locking them up won't change anything. Making it a black woman versus black man or someone pulling out won't change anything. Because yes, these bandits in this instance were black. But the decades and generations of police, white police officers doing this to black people, both guilty and innocent, through Jim Crow, slavery, pre those days, all that shit, right? So this is why it's not necessarily a race issue as much as it is a blue issue. And yes, I recognize and see race because these are constructs that move our world. You have to recognize them as they are if you want to dissolve them or level the playing field. But to pretend they don't exist, well, there you go. I don't know what he did to warrant this. I don't know if it's going to come out. I haven't heard anything new. Even if he was guilty of something, it wasn't their place to respond the way they did. If this was random, then I'm now looking at all the cases that were ignored of the complaints filed against these individuals and nothing happened. And if this is their just casual, this is how they get down, that's sick. To do that to someone just because, yeah, terrible. I don't even have the words. I just don't. I don't get that. I mean, I had a cop tell me, this was years ago, but how people thought they were racist, and he's not racist. And if I let them search my car, they won't give me a ticket. Listen, Dick Gregory once said there's no such thing as a good cop. Most people in those positions lack ID, have a frail superego. They lack no authority in their real life, so they seek it through this badge. Most of them are narcissists or exhibit narcissistic behavior, and simply aren't too bright, whether it be emotional or intellectual intelligence. It's more of they're masquerading as something that they're not. Anyways, so next time someone comes up to you maskless, as far as they're not wearing a mask on their face or protective with the PPE material, and they want to call you out for wearing yours, simply turn to them and say, well, you're wearing your mask.